first recording of Makers and Movers, Leadership and Manufacturing. This is a new series that I'm doing. I'm going to be promoting it on LinkedIn and YouTube, where I'm spending about 20-25 minutes with leaders in manufacturing, whether they're the CEOs of a manufacturing company or they could be in any leadership role in the company. And the purpose of this is to learn a little bit about their journey as a leader, but also about what their culture is like at their manufacturing company. How do they build a good culture? What do they look for in hiring? So I'm thrilled today to have the founder of Loose Leaf Tea Market, Kita Centella, to talk with us today as our first guest. So thank you, Kita, for being here.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you so much for the invitation to be part of this series. I'm really, really grateful to be here.
Could you just tell us a little bit about your journey to get here, to get into the tea industry and just where you are right now professionally, how you got there?
Yeah, absolutely. I really started back in the 1980s when my life was a total disaster. I was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and my life was really on a downward spiral. And I was fortunate enough to meet a mentor who took me under her wing and shared with me, taught me about the incredible healing power of plants. Mm-hmm. And because I had such a profound turnaround in my life, I was able to get completely sober. I've been completely clean and sober since 1986.
Congratulations.
So because I had that happen, I made a commitment to learn about the healing plants and to share what I learned with the rest of the world. And so I went to herb school and I got a certificate in Western herbalism, and that eventually became what has morphed into what is now Loose Leaf Tea Market. And I learned over the years that while I was originally selling herbal remedies, that most people were more comfortable with the idea of tea than they were with the idea of herbal remedies. So I switched everything to be tea, because tea is very accessible. People understand what it is. Everybody drinks, or not everybody, but a lot of people drink tea. And so that is how I came to the business that it is right now, where we make teas that are healing, but also taste great. They also have to be enjoyable as well as effective. So we have teas that help with inflammation, getting over sugar cravings, help you manage your weight, eliminate stress. So that's what we do.
Well, great. As I said earlier, I very much enjoy your tea. Talk to us a little bit about how your journey and what you just talked about contributes to your culture, because it's a big mission for your company. So does that help in the culture that you created for your company?
It really does, because I can't really hire people that are just looking for a job, like where they can just get a job at a clothing store and sell pants. I mean, it's really quite different with this type of job. I look for people who actually care about the mission. So I put what we do and the kind of products that we create, I put that in the job description, so that if it resonates with them, super, that's the people that I want to attract. And if it doesn't, if it sounds silly or goofy, or they're just not into it, then there's lots of other jobs out there. Right. So I want to attract people that care about healing and wellness, and that appreciate natural healing.
That makes sense. And how do you identify that? Are there certain hiring practices that you do that helps you to spot, hey, that person could be a good fit for our culture?
Well, we do more than we do more than one interview. So when we're interviewing, we're really I don't care what your background is. You don't have to know anything about what we do as long as you're the right person. So we're really hire for character. And if somebody says that they never drink tea, or they don't care about this, type of business, then, you know, that shows up pretty much right away in the interview process. And we go through usually 3, sometimes we can condense into 2, but we really want to get to know the candidates.
Do you have any favorite interview questions?
Like, why do you want to work here? What about this job posting appeals to you? And that gives them a chance to, you know, let me know, hey, I read about your mission and it really resonated with me, or I just really need to get a job right now. So that, I like to weed the wrong people out as quickly as possible. And so, why do you want to work here is a great starting question.
I agree. We often start with, can you tell us why you're passionate about this position? And we actually like using the word passionate because we want to see, do they connect with us? Do they connect with the mission? And it's also a cue for those of you who are job seeking right now. If you see a question like that, we'll figure it out before you interview. And if you're not passionate about the mission and the position, then maybe that's not the right fit for you. So
Right.
Thank you.
Exactly.
And can you talk to us a little bit about how you keep your culture alive? How do you retain the people who are on your team?
Andrea, we've done a lot of work over the last few years on creating the culture that, can I put this kind of, coarsely, but bluntly, is I read this from another business owner who, I saw this in a post by Chris Bianco, he's the owner of Pizzeria Bianco. It's very well-known pizzeria. And he posted that when he was doing a recruiting post, he said, it's my job to make sure your job doesn't suck.
I love that.
Yeah. So, if I want to take this business somewhere, I need a team of people around me, and I want people to feel really good about it. And so I've had the wrong people in place before. And so the last time that happened was April of 2022, when I just had 2 of the wrong people in, and it was pretty toxic. And so I took the whole rest of my team and we got together and talked about, what are your red flags when we interview? What are your red flags in a coworker? What are the deal breakers in a coworker? And so, we went through this whole process of identifying what works and what really doesn't work for this team. And then we codified it. I created a whole list of the things that'll get you promoted, the things that'll get you fired, and the things that'll just make up a good worker. So there's 3, there's the excellent, there's the unacceptable, and then there's, if you just want a good job, you just want to, so there's that kind of tier. We're really going for the rock stars that really care, but I wouldn't kick out a really good worker with a good attitude either. So we worked on that. We worked on and we're always working on communication. And so the way we talk to each other, the way we have when there's an issue, instead of having a difficult confrontation, this is something I learned in a workshop that we had at Pinnacle Global Network. There was a speaker that talked about doing a 6-week path to improvement. So before meeting with the team member, I take a look at all the behaviors that I want to see and then where they're ranking on them, and then come up with a plan for 6 weeks on how they can improve. And I let them know at the start of this, I really, care about you, want you to be here. If it's not the place for you, then we'll help you find another job. But if you do want to stay here, we're I need you to commit to this 6 weeks. And then once a week we meet and kind of talk about the progress. So that's one of the things we do to kind of cultivate and steer the team member where we really want them to be, because it's good for their growth too. And then I also have a position in our on our team called the fun coordinator, and that's a stipend position where I'll just give her quarterly pay for organizing team birthdays, team anniversaries, and then 4 quarterly team events. And those are usually off-site. They're fun. You know, we did horseback riding in the spring. So
Wow.
it's pretty good.
So there's a lot there. And the first thing I heard from you that I loved was that you got your entire team involved in it coming up with, who is it that we want on our team? Who's successful here? And that's so important. Sometimes the CEOs or leadership team just sits down by themselves and brainstorms, but it's completely different than what's actually happening in your culture. So I love that you did that. I love that you made a fun position. That's so amazing. So there's somebody's job and goal to make sure there's some fun in there. And then of course that 6-week plan, that is very inspiring. A lot of times we don't check in with our team and we don't think about their growth. We might be thinking about their performance from project to project and maybe giving them some feedback there, but we're not really thinking about an intentional growth plan and helping them get there. And that's really important. And every candidate, every talented person I speak with always says growth is most important to them, whether it's growing within the company or it's growing within the company to eventually leave for another opportunity, because not everybody's going to stay forever anymore.
Right.
But I think that's amazing. You're putting your stamp on people and helping them reach their potential or beyond their potential.
Since COVID, so many of our young people that are in the job market now that were in high school or college when COVID happened, that was really hard on them. And so a lot of them are anxious and they need the extra coaching.
Yeah.
So it's up to us as leaders to help them to develop themselves, especially since they took such a hit in 2020 and 2021.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about that? Do you mind? Because I'm curious as to what you're seeing as how that has affected the mindset of the early job seeker, the person who's just entering the job market, maybe looking for a part-time job. Because you have frontline people at your store, right? So you have people who are early in their career.
Yeah. What I noticed the most is that they're anxious. They're fearful and they're anxious. They're anxious around people. They're anxious around other people. They're anxious around strangers. They're anxious about trying new things. So that those 2 years of being sheltered and, kind of that deep psychological message of strangers carry disease, I think it had a really strong effect on their psyche. So it's important to, because like when you're running a company, you can't have people that always want to be in the back,
Right.
Doing the dishes and cleaning and sweeping. I mean, there's customers out there. You got to get out there. But a lot of them have so much social anxiety that they really don't want to be. They just want to be hiding away.
That's really interesting because I often hear employers who are complaining about new employees, entry-level employees who just want to work from home, right? They want the easy way, the work-life balance, and they saw it was possible during COVID. But you bring another dimension to that. It may not be that they're looking for something easy. There could be a lot more anxiety that's driving that, and we as employers need to understand that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will tell you that my younger team members are quite anxious. When I post a position for the on the site jobs, for team making or customer service, we get a handful of people. When I put out a job posting for a remote social media manager, I had 200 applicants.
Yeah,
and I had to shut it down. I just couldn't deal with all those. It was too many. So
Yeah, we see that as well. Even people who we have engaged with in the past because they were interested in a frontline position. Now, when we reach out to them and say, "Oh, we have this great opportunity, it is on site," they're like, "Nope, just looking for remote." But interesting. I haven't heard somebody speak to the anxiety part of it before. So thank you for bringing that into the conversation.
Well, I had a flood happen a couple months ago where a pipe, I guess the fitting on it corroded and it just leaked water for like 4 or 5 hours. And so the entire store was flooded. And so when the team got there, I got into, okay, everybody, we're doing this and we're getting a lot of cardio and we're really getting a good cleaning because, you know, people would freak out otherwise. And when they took their break, they went over to Whole Foods and they got some anxiety drops and like they just needed a little help because
Yeah.
they were feeling quite anxious about it. Because it's a disruption, it's a change. And that can happen like in any kind of a job. You know, you have disruption, you have change, you have the unfamiliar happening.
Right. Talk to us about your plans for growth and how people fit into that.
Well, what I'm working on right now, I'm working on a couple of things. With Loose Leaf, I'm attending a spa trade show later this month in June. And so one of the things that we want to develop in the business is our wholesale and private label, because our teas are amazing. And if you have a company of your own and you just want to put your own name on it, we can do that. So I want to grow that part of it, but I also really feel like, because loose leaf tea is not the same as tea in a tea bag or ordering iced tea at a restaurant. In the United States, over 80% of the tea that's consumed in this country is iced tea. And a lot of that is what's consumed at restaurants when they're out to eat. But loose leaf tea, making loose leaf tea at home, that's 1% of all the tea drinkers. So there's a little bit of a hurdle. And what I want to do is to lower that barrier, because the things that we have in this tea is really, really good for you. And the more you drink of it, the more benefits you're going to get from it. So the more antioxidants you consume in general, the healthier you're going to be. So I am in the very early developmental stages of creating a franchisable tea bar concept. So that's my like big plan for growth. And then the loose leaf, what we're doing with the manufacturing will be supporting the tea bar.
Well, I look forward to having that tea bar near me where I can go all the time. Well, right now I use your tea at home and brew it, but it would be nice to be able to go out and have it as well.
Right. Have a hangout spot.
Yeah, exactly. Bring my computer. It would be great instead of getting coffee all the time at Starbucks.
Right. Right. You can also get mocktails. That's one of the things that it's going to have there is non-alcoholic mocktails.
Oh, sounds good. I'm there. But tell us a little bit about currently where you're located and how we can order some of your tea.
Thank you. We're located in Phoenix, Arizona, Central Phoenix. And my website is so easy. It's looseleafteamarket.com, and you can shop by complaint, basically. So you can shop teas for gut health, shop teas for better sleep, shop teas for inflammation, shop teas to get over your sugar craving. So it's pretty easy to find what you're looking for.
So is there anything else you want to share with us about building your company or even just building your team before we close?
All I can say is it's been a work in progress. Continue to not only work on the team culture, but work on yourself as a leader.
Great advice.
Really, yeah, constantly work on personal growth, because as you do, your team will see what you do, and your team will also see what you don't do. So if you're not working on yourself and you're just being a boss, then they're not going to be inspired by that. They're not going to go above and beyond if you're not going above and beyond.
Very true. Well, thank you, Kita. This has been really great. You know, I've loved your teas forever, and I appreciate you coming on and being our first expert on this LinkedIn series.
Hey,
And
thank you
thank you
so much.
all for watching and joining us.